We're going to start off by showing you how to bait one of the silver traps. This is the more classic trap that you might be using to trap cats. The mechanism for this trap is a spring-loaded. What you do to open it is you lift up this little tab, push in at the top, and while you're doing that, lift up at the bottom. At that point on the top here, you can see there's another little gizmo that will hook into this portion on the top of the trap to hold the door open. With the door open, you'll put a small amount of stinky wet cat food. I usually start with something stinky like ocean whitefish and tuna, and when you need to get the big guns out, you get jack mackerel, which is in a tall red soup can sized can in the fish aisle. That will get any cat from 5 miles around. Alright, and then to get the food in the back of the silver trap, you just kind of shove it back there, reset your trap, and wait for your cat to go in. When the cat walks in, it's going to step on the trip plate and the trap is going to close. And as soon as the trap is closed and there's a cat in there, you want to quickly cover the trap so that the cat is not bouncing around trying to get out and hurting itself. So you take a sheet or a towel, cover the trap to minimize stress of the cat, and put it in a cool, comfortable area where it can wait until you can bring it to me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday between 6 and 7:30 p.m. Thanks. When setting the trap, you'll lift up on this gizmo right here, push the bar of the door in, pull up, and you secure the door open by catching it with this little hook that is connected to the trip plate, and when the cat steps on it, it closes. When you are trapping cats with Carol's Ferals, you might be given a brown True Catch trap. These traps are some of the easier ones to use. One of the reasons is because you back load it to bait the trap. You want to get a small amount of stinky wet food or jack mackerel in the back of the trap. You lift this guillotine door straight up, bring it down, and close the trap, making sure that you put the food behind the trip plate. And then to set the trap, you lift both rings up simultaneously, pull the door out, and you'll notice that there is a bar that is attached to the trip plate, and the door also has a little nubbin that you rest on the nubbins of the bar that's attached to the trip plate. That's my real technical term. You kind of make a cross with them. And then when the kitty walks in, steps on the trip plate, and it's closed. Once the cat goes into a trap, you cover it to minimize stress. And then put the trap in a cool, comfortable place away from the other cats until you can bring it to Carol's Ferals. When you're trapping at Carol's Ferals, oftentimes if you have a lot of cats, we'll give you one brown True Catch trap and then some small cages as well. In that case, you can capture the cat with the brown True Catch trap and then transfer it into the smaller carry cage. This cage will always have a pad liner in it because with a solid bottom, we don't want a cat to urinate and get it all over itself. So we put a pad inside, you set it up with the cat in the trap already, you bring the little catch cage right up against the back guillotine door where you set the food and pull it together tightly. It's always a good idea at this point to put a brick or your shoe or something against the back cage in case the cat runs in and moves it. You lift the guillotine door, making sure you're holding it tight together. Pull off the cover. The cat should run into this cage. You close the guillotine door, and before you do anything else, you set a rigid piece of cardboard in the space, pull the trap away, and be closing the door as you're pulling the cardboard out. At that point, cover the cat in this cage and take it to a safe location until you can get it transported to Carol's Ferals. This transfer technique is done best when in an indoor location, just in case the cat does escape during the transfer time. Yay, now we've got a trapped cat. To minimize stress, you want to cover the trap so the cat is calm. And if you have multiple cats to catch, Carol's Ferals might give you a catch cage to transfer the cat into so that you can reuse the trap to trap another. To transfer the cat, you will turn it to the guillotine side door. You'll set the cage right against the door, opening to opening. It's always a good idea to have someone standing to the back here to make sure that the cat doesn't run and move the whole trap aside and get loose. At this point, you lift the guillotine door, uncover the cat, scare it into the catch cage, put a piece of rigid cardboard against the opening, and close the door while sliding the cardboard out so as not to create a way for the cat to escape. Then you cover that cat and bring it to Carol's Ferals. Go ahead. Now comes the time when you have to transport your trapped cat to Carol's Ferals. What you'll want to do if you care about your upholstery is put either a tarp or a plastic bag down first, and then a towel. The towel will trap any urine that might come out of the kitty during transport, and the bag will keep it from soaking into your upholstery. Then you gently load the trap in, and if you can, secure it with a seat belt in case you stop fast so you don't have a moving cat. And then we'll see you at Carol's Ferals to get this kitty fixed. When you've set up a time to come to Carol's Ferals, which is typically Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday evenings between 6 and 7:30 p.m., when you arrive, you'll want to take a number from the ticket machine. And then you could just wait in your car or outside of your vehicle until your number is called. In the meantime, you can fill out the loan agreement if you are going to be borrowing any kind of equipment at all. Typically, you'll be borrowing equipment for trapping, or sometimes you'll even need a carrier to take the cat back home in. If you're going to be using any of our equipment, you'll need to fill out the 3-page agreement right here, and then bring it up to you when your number is called along with your driver's license. Trap-neuter-return is the process of trapping a cat, having it fixed, and returning it to the location where it came from. Occasionally you'll find cats that cannot be returned to the location because they're in a perilous situation where somebody is trying to cause them harm. If that's the case, you can possibly find a barn home for your feral cats. If that happens and you do locate a farmer or someone with an outbuilding that is willing to take your cats on, you need to properly rehome them in a cage in that new location for 2 weeks in the cage and 2 weeks out of the cage. How to set up a cage for a barn cat rehoming is this. You get a cage that's at least 36 inches deep. This one is that size. And you set it up with a small cat carrier for the cat to use as a bed. The door has a bungee cord on it so it can open and close and stay open so the cat doesn't get locked out of it. I usually use a cardboard flat box as a litter box, and I like to use either horse bedding or clay litter in cages. Scoopable litter in cages is not a good idea because if the cat's paws get wet and they get into scoopable litter, you have like a sticky clay mess on the bottom of a cat's foot. And in a cage, there's more of a chance of the water bowl spilling and that happening in a small space. I always put water and food bowls up front with a towel underneath to absorb if they do get tipped. And with the cat in its carrier, and it's usually going to be a feral that you're rehoming, You can close the door, clean inside, and then when you're all finished, you quickly unlatch the door, the bungee holds it open, and you can close your cage and come back the next day to retend the cat. The cat should stay in the cage for a minimum of 2 weeks, being given fresh food and water every day. At that point, you will leave the cage door open, put food outside of the cage, and let it use the cage as a place to sleep and still come for its food on the outside. Then, 2 weeks after that, you will remove the cage completely and let the cat make its home in the barn. One special thing to note is that if you are going to find a barn home for a cat, all other cats must be spayed and neutered, and there must not be any abundance of cats on the property because they will run your cats off. So make sure you know who you're dealing with and that they will adhere to these policies. And all this is also located on carolsferals.org in a PDF that you can hand off to the person who will be rehoming the cat to make sure they're willing to go through with these standards. Thanks.